First off, my Camila, my father passed back in 2015, and I like to think that I got my people skills, or the good part of my people skills, from him and how he related to people. Can you just talk about how your parents and your father's a prominent part in this whole film for you? How do they keep you going, and do they continue to inspire you as an entrepreneur?
I definitely feel the spirit of my grandparents in terms of their entrepreneurial spirit. My dad had an entrepreneurial spirit, and my mom does too, but in their respective fields. But my grandparents migrated to Chicago from the South, and they did not even have high school diplomas, but they were very successful in owning several different businesses on the South side of Chicago, which allowed them to build their own house from the ground up, which allowed them to support their daughters in their educational endeavors, allowed my mom to be able to go to med school after dropping out of dental school and having a first grader, in elementary school. So I can see through the things that my grandparents have done in their entrepreneurial journey and how it benefited my mom, my aunt, and of course that trickles down to my brother and myself being able to benefit from that as well. But intrinsically, I just feel their spirit. I feel the spirit of all of my ancestors who, whether they were entrepreneurs or not, had enterprising spirits.
I also love how we get a quick glimpse about your big mission statement, which is just having a security when it comes to nutrition, or the food you put on your plate. How did that passion arise? Because I love the fact that you're teaching kids, or just maybe people of all ages, on the idea of going to the grocery as opposed to a corner market or their fast food restaurant. Is that a big part of why Justice of the Pies exists?
So, one of the main reasons why I focus on food insecurities is because my dad grew up poor. My dad grew up on the west side of Chicago in the projects, and my grandfather was an alcoholic. So my grandfather would spend his money on liquor and not on groceries, and that affected my dad deeply. We could be sitting around the table with family members and eating a big Thanksgiving spread, and he would sit there and talk about how he grew up hungry, and my aunts would say, "But Steve, we're not hungry anymore." But that's that emotional trauma that he went through and never really reconciled with. So the emotional trauma that he experienced from growing up with hunger trickled down to me, and that trauma was passed on down to me. So if my dad and I had arguments, when I was growing up, a lot of times those arguments were centered around food, whether it's my dad eating my food, whether it's my dad not buying food that I knew that I should be eating, because my parents were divorced and I lived in two separate households. The way that I ate at my mom's house is completely different from the way that I ate when I was at my dad's house. At my mom's house, even though she was in med school when I was in grammar school, she still cooked meals on Sunday that would last for the whole week. I call this Tupperware friendly meals: tacos, spaghetti, beans and rice, something that you could pop into a microwave and heat up after school, but they were whole meals. Whereas when I went to my dad's house, cheeses, crackers, ramen noodles, soup packages, mashed potatoes in a box, maybe hamburger helper, jello. He made so much jello. I don't know why, but we always had jello in the fridge. So because of this, and because of this tug of war that my dad and I had about food, whenever we went out to eat, if I didn't finish my food, he was going to finish it for me. And I didn't finish my food because I liked moderation. I liked eating half of it right there and then, and I wanted to save the other half for later. He didn't give me that opportunity because in his mind, I don't know when I'm going to be able to eat again. So let me eat as much as I can right now. So my dad was a really big, tall man, and he was overweight. And as a child, um, I knew about diabetes. I was very much aware because my grandmother had diabetes, and my other grandmother died from a heart attack, and she was overweight, and she died from a heart attack at the train station. Which is so sad to me. And I knew that each of my grandparents passed away from something that could have been prevented if they had better food choices. We're talking about the types of things that Black and Brown people tend to be affected by more than any other set of society or community: high blood pressure, diabetes, and heart problems, congestive heart issues, or what have you. So, seeing the two juxtapositions between my mom's house and my dad's house, and seeing how food heavily affected the environment, made me want to address food and address food insecurities from a standpoint of, if I can provide and help children with a certain skill set, then I am doing a small part in fighting food insecurities, especially in neighborhoods that are most affected by food apartheid. Food apartheid mean they don't have access to a grocery store that's within 2 miles, or, and we're not talking about a corner store or a bodega. We're talking about a grocery store that has fresh produce, when you walk in the door, things of that nature. Um, because I do believe that if you are able to teach children how to be self-reliant in the kitchen and make it fun, because culinary arts is an art form, then we are better able to set them up for long-term success. Because when you've had that need taken care of in terms of the need for stability in your diet, then you're more likely to be more successful in school and beyond school.
I want to ask you a superficial question regarding the culinary arts. I'm a huge fan of eating pies and seeing how they're made. And just, do you feel that a lot of people don't understand how much, I guess, of a nuance there is in making pies? And also on top of that, I guess most importantly, why why is pies sort of a big foundation for you, as in what you do?
So when my dad passed away in 2009, we were at his funeral, and his niece, Stephanie, came to me at the repast. And the repast is, of course, is the gathering after a funeral, where traditionally in our culture we'll eat fried chicken, eat some pound cake, and drink red punch, and and speak to people that you haven't seen in a long time. So my cousin comes up to me and she says, I think that we should start a foundation in which we teach kids how to make pies in memory of Uncle Steve. And I was in the midst of another business venture. I had a stress knot that was growing like the size of a tennis ball in my back. It was the last thing that was on my mind. But several years later, I thought, about it and took it seriously. And the reason why I created Justice of the Pies is because I wanted to celebrate my dad's love of pies, but also honoring his belief that people deserve second chances. My dad was actually obsessed about pies and quiches. He called himself the pie master, and that was one of his true loves when it comes to the culinary art form. For me, pies resonate with me because when you look at different cultures, pies are a form of the people's food. So if you go to Jamaica, what's the people's food in Jamaica? I mean, other than oxtail, but oxtail and oxtail gravy is very expensive. But the people's food is meat patty and cocoa bread. It's encased in a crust. When you go to India, it's samosa. It's encased in a crust. When you go to Colombia, even though it's not really technically a crust, it's still encased in some sort of starch. It's in a arepa. Wherever you go in the world, I think that, or I feel like the people's food is something that is encased in a crust. So while pies can be a very beautiful high art when it comes to pastry arts, it's also very approachable and relatable. And it's something that's acceptable even if it's not aesthetically perfect. People love to see the juices oozing and bubbling out of, a pie crust, and they'll accept it. So I love to think that the way that people accept pies because it's so approachable is the way that people should accept people in general, regardless of social status, class status, or what have you. So when I think about pies, that is the introspective approach that I take, and why I'm enamored with the crust.
My Camille, a lot of people at the end of the day, at the end of their workday, they'll say, "Well, you know what? I'm a little bit tired. I'll watch several hours of TV and then go to sleep." it seems to me, just from what little I know, just from this film and talking to you right now, the grind doesn't stop for you. And I just, how do you get that second gear when you're just working all day and you just keep on pushing forth? Whereas I'm sure a lot of people at the first sign of adversity, they're just going to want to understandably just curl up in a ball and go to sleep and watch Netflix, you know? So,
Right. So let me first start off by saying that while I have worked many 16, 14, 16, 18 hour days, it's not recommended and it's not healthy. There is no life work balance. And a lot of chefs are known for sacrificing time with family, missing birthdays and holidays, losing friends because they're stuck in the kitchen. You know, this is not easy work. So in this year, I really have making a concerted effort in saying no. But I do realize that when I say no more, I'm saying yes to opportunities that actually um, give me the same but require less. So that's a fine balance. It's not anything that I recommend for others to actually um, celebrate. I don't think that we should celebrate overworking ourselves because it's not living. You know, it's not wealthy living. And so I've cut down a lot on that. Now, when it comes to adversity, I am a firm believer that when someone grows up with circumstances that may not be ideal in terms of they had to fight, early on, they tend to be able to deal with challenges and adversity pretty well, such as people who live with disabilities. I am a person who lives with a disability. So I don't get scared easily by adversity because my life, growing up, I constantly have been met with adversity and challenges all the time, especially even now with people wearing masks. I can't go to Starbucks and, at Starbucks, they repeat everything back to you. And so I just type my order out on my phone and I show it to them. And I just say, we're not going to do this today. I'm just going to tell you, show you my phone and tell you what I want. I'm going to pay for it. And, but it's difficult, but you learn how to be creative. That is where the creativity comes in. Earlier, I was talking about how pies are the people's food. People's food is usually something that's created because you had to make do with what you had. Street tacos, it's not something that was created in the kitchen of oil. It's something that was created by the people for the people who have very little resources. Meeting adversity and challenge is the same way. When you are used to things not necessarily always being easy, you get really creative about how to circumvent and navigate various situations.
my final question to you is, in big picture wise, how much, I guess, fun and how much of a gratifying experience has it been to be part of Five? And I'm on your IG right now. Just I I'm seeing sold out, sold out, sold out. What's the first thing I ordered? Can I order pies? I love the cutie pie hoodie. And but are you all stocked out, or do you still have a wide array of stuff available so people can order online?
So we do stock it, but what we do is we make the inventory and then we change the numbers in our online store. So we don't want to put too much product in there and we don't have it. We ship pies, and so that we want to make sure that we have the pies that are in the freezer and frozen and ready to go. Because of the pandemic, I have not been able to sell to directly to the customer, only through wholesale accounts and through shipping. But we just started a residency in which we'll be selling pies at shop, and people can order online Monday through Thursday, and then they pick it up on Saturday only. So we'll change the flavors every week. And this is just, very short term. Um, Otherwise, you can always go online and have a pie shipped to you, but the flavors are very limited because every single pie that we make is not ideal for shipping across the country.
Oh, yeah. I wish I was in Chicago right now just to try it. And just finally, just being part of Five. Has it been a really great experience for you?
Yeah, I've had a chance to watch the four other short films, and I'm just completely, you know, in a state of awe of the other women who are featured in, the film. I mean, just thinking about, yeah, but just, when I saw the story, Sarah's back, and then I heard about the blast in Lebanon, immediately I thought of her, and hoping that her learning that everything led for her. I was really happy to see how the other women who were also featured in the other four films were women that I could resonate with. And earlier I was talking about, when you are used to adversity and you facing challenges, you are more inclined to be more creative because you have to figure your way out of that. And I could see that in these women. I could see the creativity and the grit oozing out of them. And I'm just in awe of them.
All right, Camille, thank you so much for your time, and definitely going to start ordering some stuff from you. And yeah, I really appreciate it.
Oh no, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.